Internet! What's up, Internet? It's Wednesday, here. I think it's Wednesday. What's going on, everybody? How you doing? So we do start out the show here. I'm not sure if anybody noticed the title, but the title is It's Wednesday, so let's talk about what it takes after a rescape, which we will talk about during the video segment today, which we'll be rocking and rolling after a little bit here, and we're gonna run into that at some point in time. But I did post into the chat, hey guys, I want to focus a little bit more on the back and forth with you guys, answering some questions and things like that. I think that's a good thing for the Wednesday show. Just working out my format here, trying to figure out exactly what I'm doing with all these shows I got going on, and which day is going to be what. And you know, Friday, the Patreon questions normally take the front seat, so I figure Wednesday would probably be a good day for you know, maybe answering some of your guys' questions, kind of just whatever they are in the chat. But let's say hi to the first people in the chat. What's going on? Frank Dominguez first to the chat again. I don't know how he does it, so that would be the one question I don't know how to answer today. I don't know how Frank Dominguez is first to the chat. I just don't know how he does it. So I guess we'd answer that. That's the answer. The answer is I don't know. I don't know how he does it. It's wild. But he's consistently first to the chat. But he was quickly followed by the Turtle Girl, Daryl Dimer, and Sarah Konopko. Good to see you guys here. What's up, Leonie Ballantyne, Rogers Aquariums, M. Howie9, and Phil Emerson, along with Charlie List, who I got some. I got a good couple emails from this morning. Thank you very much, Charlie. It's good to hear from you. Let's pop over here and make sure that the audio is turned off on the other speakers over here, because I don't want to have that happen again. What's all those weird noises in the background? That's the worst when that happens, right? People are like, what is that? Like, I don't know. Somebody just messaged me on Facebook or something. I don't know. So make sure this is turned off and that's turned on like that. There we go. And let's say hi to a couple other people. The Turtle Girl was asking if I've owned turtles before. Yes, as a kid, I owned turtles for many, many moons. I had turtles for a long time, and she's asking, what do you think about the 4-inch law, and how do you feel about it? Any opinions? Kind of a random question, but the first thing that popped into my head. The 4-inch turtle law is kind of... it's a little bit weird because there's been a lot of... There's a lot of people that are against it. There's a lot of people that are for it, strangely enough. I don't know why, but I find it to be a little bit odd at this point. I think if it's kind of weird because you can own the turtles, but you can't sell them. It's like the big thing, which is kind of odd to me, you know, that you can own them, but you can't sell them is the big deal. And I guess the big reason for it was salmonella at some point in time, I guess, which seems odd to me because I think if you can own chickens, which I do, who are known to harbor salmonella, it seems odd that you wouldn't be able to, you know, keep turtles. I I don't know. It just always seems like a weird law to me. I don't know why it's there. I wish I knew more about it to really be like, oh, I'm for it or against it. I'm kind of in the middle of just being confused. Like, what? It just seems odd to me. It seems odd to me that you could probably own a leopard, but you can't own a turtle if it's under 4 inches. But my big guess would be normally when there is a law like that in place, it normally has to do with an invasive species is normally why that's the deal. But, you know, it seems to be that the salmonella is a big deal, which is a little bit odd to me. Let's say hi to a couple of, so hopefully that explains my stance. My stance is more confusion than anything. I'm just kind of like, what? I don't know. It seems odd to me. But yeah, like I said, I owned turtles as a kid for a long time, and I don't know that I ever caught salmonella from them or not. Couldn't tell you. Well, I just, you know, knowing the most of the symptoms and whatnot of salmonella, I'd be hard pressed to tell you if I had those symptoms when I was like 9 or not at this point. You know, because I don't know how many times I was sick when I was a kid, whether it was salmonella or not. So I don't know. Let's say hi to a couple of people. We got Gone Mad in the chat. Wasabi Tsunami. Jackson Kobalars is in the chat. Kobalars. He gave me the pronunciation. Kobalars. There we go. So we got the Kobalars in the chat. What's up, Jackson? Good to see you. Yeah, I always I like to get a pronunciation. If you have kind of a goofy last name, bust up a pronunciation so I can get it right, man. You know what I mean? I dig it. I appreciate it. Wasabi Tsunami wants me to bust a rap. Am I gonna do a rap song for you today? Doubtful. I don't have any backing track, you guys. I don't have a backing track, so that's no good. But I won't be able to do a rap because I don't have a backing track. But Savannah the Aqualama is here. A Vexing Cat, Ed's Fish. Bentley Pascal is here. Let's see, who else is here? Johnny O'Free. Paul Martin is here. Oh, yeah, the 12th onto the stream. Nice. I like it. Let's see here. Let's scroll through the chat and get caught up a little bit. What happened to all the mods today? I don't know where the mods are. They're all asleep. Oh, there's Dan Squires. Good to see you. Maxwell Sonneman's here. Tampa Tom. Good to see you. Saying Real Fish Talk was great yesterday. Thanks. You're very welcome. Thanks for tuning into Real Fish Talk. If you guys checked it out, it was me and Jimmy and Dean. I think it went pretty fun. I thought it was a fun conversation. It was great to finally meet Dean in person and actually kind of, you know, talk with him a bit. I did mention we were a couple minutes late because somebody threw something on my porch. I'm actually going to show you what that is, guys. This is how it was shipped to me. Oop. I want to actually show you. Okay, cool. I got to make sure that the shipping label is not exposed. There we go. But this is how they shipped it to me. They shipped it like this. I wonder if it was a question as to what it was. I wonder if the guy that brought it here was wondering what it was. I mean, it seems like a very much so a mystery as to what it could be. What could this possibly have been? As you can see, I had to order some more Spa Flex because I got some cool projects coming up here very, very soon, which that is one component for it that is going to be very, very important coming along here in some of the big projects that I got coming up in the near future, which I'm excited for. Honestly, I was going to do some video on that today, but I was missing a part. That part that just showed up at 3 o'clock on the dot. And I was wondering what was thrown onto my porch. So that's not going to happen today, but it's coming up pretty soon. Wasabi Tsunami says we need Vicky on the show. Well, my long-term goal is to get Vicky on a show, honestly. Right now, that's pretty impossible because you guys can go to the Patreon and check out how much how much is funded on the Patreon. Not to say that I'm super stoked about the Patreon, but y'all can go look at it and see how much we're funded on the Patreon, and I don't think that covers Vicky being able to no longer go to her big time insurance lady gig. You know what I mean? So she keeps doing that, and she's awesome. And, like I said, my long-term goal is to do that so that we could just work together all week and make videos and do shows and stuff like that. But, we just are where we are right now. And I would love to have her on here and just be jawing it up with her here. But we're just not there yet. We're doing great, you guys. I'm super enthusiastic. Everything is going great. We have a ton of new subscribers coming in every day. You guys sharing stuff out and all that helps out so much. It's immense, and all the people kicking in on the Patreon and stuff like that. It's a huge deal. And, like I said, long-term goal would be to have Vicky around every single day, and being able to, work on projects together and get stuff done together and like do shows and stuff together. So, that's the big long goal, but, we haven't reached that yet. So, still just plugging away, hammering away on all sorts of stuff, all the projects that I can get going. Honestly, I'm kind of tired. But that's irrelevant. I just got to keep going. You know what I mean? So I'm going to. But let's see. We got a bunch of questions here. JH Aquatics is asking, I want to see that canvas turned around. Yeah, you guys will. You just have to wait till it's time to turn that one around. So, but yeah, you guys will. You will. Not today though. Won't be doing that. Let's see. At Barbara Jackson. Let's see. But people could just not let small children handle turtles. Oh yeah, so the turtle question. Little kids don't generally put live chickens in their mouths, but turtles smaller than 4 inches, they used to all the time. Oh yeah, that'd be problematic. Having children put a turtle in their mouth. Yeah, I would. Probably. Vexing Cat says, if I had salmonella, you would know. It's pretty nasty. Most people don't know when they have salmonella. Actually, one of the things I learned from being a chef for a really long time is through all of the health training and serve safe training and all that nonsense. Most people don't know that they have salmonella poisoning. They'll normally have the symptoms include a fever, things like that, and a lot of diarrhea. And oftentimes people don't know that that's what that's from, is from an actual either mild salmonella poisoning or something along those lines. They don't normally know when they have it. They just think they had like a flu or a cold or a bug or something like that. They don't normally know. So, but, one that's a little bit crazier is like E. coli. E. coli is a lot worse if you get it real bad. But salmonella is like really common. It's the most common form of food poisoning that people get. It's so, but, yeah, I guess the turtle problem was kids in the 70s putting turtles in their mouths, but so I don't know, there's seatbelts in cars for a reason. So maybe it just has to do with it was a problem at a time, and then they just figure that's the easiest way to address it. So maybe that's what's going on. Daniel Keeping Fish admin, when does the Real Fish Talk air live? I listen on the podcast, but I would like to watch it live. It airs Tuesdays, 3 o'clock Pacific time, which is -7 on Tuesdays. And realistically, like if the real fish talk starts going crazy, and whatnot, then we'll probably go back to doing 2 days. But right now we're just 1 day a week on that, mainly because we have like other projects going on and stuff that we're working on. So that's it's guaranteed to be out on Tuesdays. That's when we're doing it. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, here's the reality. Like, let's say, just in a free think kind of situation here. Like, if it had 1 million subscribers or something and people were loving it, I'm just, in all honesty, Corey and I would make more. I mean, that's just real. You know what I mean? Like, if something's wildly successful, generally speaking, people will do more of that. So, we're just going to keep making them once a week. And, if it like takes off and goes crazy, we'll probably make more, we'll probably make more a week, or, we'll expand the production and stuff like that. But in the meantime, it does take a whole day in order to do the real fish talk. This one thing that, Corey's been kind of hounding me to make a vlog style video to just kind of show off, I guess, what one of my days is like. And I've been kind of reticent to do that. I don't know why. It almost feels like I don't necessarily want to do a vlog thing, because I know, like, in my brain, I'll probably end up doing the Casey Neistat thing where I'm trying to do it every single day. And, to be brutally honest, just as one guy with all of the other crazy stuff I got going on, I'm not sure I would be able to do that. And stuff would, I'd have things that, like, just wouldn't be getting done. And I feel like with this show and the Real Fish Talk and stuff, I have a ton of stuff. So I'm just working on making the short videos that can help explain things to people a little bit better. And but yeah, so doing the Real Fish Talk, it does take a whole day. It takes quite a while to get up there. We have to get all the show prep and all that stuff done. And then by the time we're done with it, I don't get home until like last night I got home at 10:30, which is after my bedtime. So, I have to pretty much give up a whole day with Vicky. I don't get to see her at all, because when I get home, she's already, she's already in the rack. She's racked out, sleeping. And so it is, not to say that it's a sacrifice. It's a whole day. So it was turning into 2 whole days and 3 whole days. So we kind of just bounced it back a little bit. But honestly, I mean, we're gonna keep doing the 1 day a week for sure. But like I said, if it really takes off or whatever, then we'll do it. We'll do it more, and I guess by that extension, like, if, let's say, my live stream here or my show here or whatever it's called, I probably should figure out a name for this show one of these days, right? Like, if this took off like crazy, I could probably convince Corey to just come down here and do 1 day a week. So all that stuff's on the table. It's not like it's not like anything is carved in stone, or anybody has any contracts with anybody or anything crazy like that. So it really does just come to it just kind of comes down to, like, what's working and what's not working, and whether it's like we're wanting to do it or not. You know what I mean? So and it's, I wish I lived in, I wish I lived in a world where I wish I lived in a world where, like, we didn't have to respond to things like, what's successful or what's not. But that's a reality of the world we live in here, well, anyhow, let's see. What do we got going here in the chat? Daniel Keeping Fish says, it's a sacrifice, but very much appreciated by many of us. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really say it's a sacrifice. It's just a part of my week. You know, it's just a part of my week of what I'm doing. And, you know, I'm happy to do it. I like doing it. I love hanging out with Corey, man. We're good buddies. I love hanging out with Jimmy. Even Dorkula, I love hanging out with her too. She's really cool. You know, so, and, you know, not to mention, like, you know, going up to the co-op, everybody that works there, super awesome. So, you know, I'm totally down to do it. It's not like a bad thing, but, you know, just if we, you know, if it's something that's going to move into, you know, 2 or 3 days a week or something like that, there has to be like a good reason for it, you know? It's just at where it's at right now, and that's totally cool. Like, I'm down. You know, I'm certainly not discouraged. I'm certainly not sad about it or anything like that. You know, but it's also just you know, one of the realities of, you know, like I said, 2018, living in America. It's like I got a mortgage to pay, the electric bill, the internet bill, the insurance bill, the other insurance bill, this other insurance bill. You know, so that's just a reality we all have to deal with. We all have to deal with it, you know. Let's see. Trying to grab some of these questions out of here. Vexingcast says maybe it was trichinosis, contracted from poorly cooked pork. Actually, you know, Dean and I were talking about it yesterday. They actually dropped the cooking temperature for pork the other day. You know, what was it? It used to be 140. Now they dropped it down to 135 for whatever reason. They're finding that trichinosis doesn't really get passed through the pork as much. You know, but I don't work at the health department, so I don't know. I wasn't involved in any of those studies. I still long cook my pork anyhow, so it's always over temperature. So I was never really concerned about that, but Bracken says he's pretty sure it's about invasive species, as Washington is very diverse in geography. Most salamanders and frogs from out of state are prohibited. Yeah, in Washington, that's you know, a lot of reptiles are prohibited just because of you know, our ecosystem here has been. The people in Washington are pretty adamant about protecting our ecosystem and trying to, you know, eliminate invasive species. I always find it a little bit odd with the way that Washington is, because like east of the mountains is a crazy hot desert during the summer, and then during the winter it's this cold kind of tundra area. If you go west of me here out on the peninsula, it's a rainforest. You know, so there's a lot of diverse ecosystems out here in Washington, which I know a lot of states have that stuff going on, but I feel like Washington's pretty unique with a lot of the craziness that is going on here. Master Beta says turtles were like Tide Pods in the 40s. And that's just funny. Let's see. What other questions do we have in the chat? Alyssa Bentley's asking, I have several colors of Neocaridina shrimp, and I was considering trying some Caridina types, like crystal red and crystal black. My pH tends to be 7.2 for the Neos. Can crystals live with that? I think your crystals could live with 7.2. It would take a little while to adapt to them, so I would, at the very least, I would be buffering down. I'd be buffering your pH down a little bit. I would probably start at 6.8, you know, 6.7. Yeah, I would buffer it down and then just allow it to gradually go up over time with water changes. The biggest issue with crystal shrimp is always proper feeding and super clean water. That is the biggest deal. They can generally deal with a bit of a variant of pH, as long as it's steady, right? So as long as you don't have these crazy pH swings, they'd be fine. But as long as you have clean water, you want to have really clean water. You want your nitrates to be low, 0 nitrite, 0 ammonia. So when I used to have my crystal shrimp colony, I'd keep my nitrates at only like 10 and below, which made it a little more difficult to grow plants, but not a big deal, realistically, when you're growing crystal shrimps, right? Because as I was breeding the crystal shrimp, that would realistically help me trade for plants and stuff like that for my other aquariums, right? So I'd have my other setups, and I would have all my other setups be able to expand on those. When I'd expand on those, they that would kind of just make up for the crystal shrimp tank growing super slow, like, because I'd have all the other things and stuff going on. Let's see here. Savannah the Aqua Llama is asking, Joel, are there any fish or other animal you feel a 4-year-old is capable of somewhat caring for and not accidentally killing, with parent help, of course? I think that a 4-year-old, as far as an aquarium goes, without parental help, I don't think a 4-year-old could realistically handle actually taking care of the aquarium. Now, I think that they can be a contributing factor, but I don't think that a 4-year-old is really at the point, a 4-year-old can't do a water change. A 4-year-old should realistically not be taking apart a filter. I'm not saying that but they shouldn't be taking apart a filter by themselves. I'm not saying that they're incapable or anything like that, but with a parent there, you'd be totally fine. You could realistically do anything, because a big part of, like, if you had a tank with a 4-year-old, you're probably going to be doing most of the work for them. So if you're willing to do most of the work, then you'll be fine. With young children, I would think about having more resilient fish in the aquarium, and for the main reason for that would be overfeeding. And once your 4-year-old knows how to feed that aquarium, they're going to try and feed them a lot. And oftentimes they're kind of clumsy and have opportunity. They'll probably throw a sandwich in there at some point in time. They'll probably throw some cereal in there. So you're going to want to pick some really resilient fish that can handle the possibility of that, those kind of things happening. And now I'm not saying that that you shouldn't involve kids, but I think that, like, parent fish keepers should definitely set up a tank and take care of it with their kid. With their children. I know that if I have a kid at some point in time, I'm definitely going to involve them in what I'm doing. I do know that when the nieces are here, they come and help me out, but they're 8, 9, and 10, so they're a little bit on the, they've got a few more years there that they're able to do some things, but nobody's ever really taught them necessarily what they should and shouldn't do at length. But I would assume that if I had a kid by the time they were 8, 9, or 10, they should probably be able to take care of their own situation. But then again, I would also set up an aquarium for my kid that was probably on automatic water changes. Feeding would be super easy, and those kinds of things. So, but somebody was asking earlier, fish I would recommend for a kid. Kind of the sky's the limit as far as for a young child, like whatever kind of aquarium you were going to get, what you were going to get for them. But just bear in mind, you're going to be doing most of the work. So I would look to get something that's pretty hardy. I would certainly look locally. If you can find something that's been aquacultured, perfect. That's awesome. Small schools are always great. There are a ton of cories that are super awesome. You could always add you could add a small school of cories, which is always fantastic. They're always kind of munching around and doing something. I would think of a small school that's moving together If you could find some kind of tetras or something, maybe some white cloud mountain minnows. Those are amazing starter fish. You can probably get them to breed a little bit, but not crazy. Any of the live bearers like Pleiades or guppies or any of that kind of stuff, they're probably going to breed like crazy, which might be a problem. Gage Eggerer says, put Pogostemon stellatus octopus in my 10-gallon like a noob, and it has quickly grown to the top of the tank. How do I trim it and make it bushier? That actually will be in the video segment today. I'm actually trimming the Pogostemon stellatus in my 240 today, and I'll actually show you guys some of the ins and outs of trimming that and explain some of that stuff. Jeff Allen was asking, having trouble with my first aquarium plant. I bought an Amazon sword plant 2 weeks ago, and it's slowly dying away one leaf at a time. What am I doing wrong? Jeff, I need more information to figure out what you're doing wrong, man. Do you have proper lights on it? Do you have proper substrate? Are you doing water changes? Are you doing fertilizing? What's the temperature of the aquarium? What's the pH of the aquarium? There's a lot of information that's missing from your comment here, and I'm not saying that is a negative thing. I'm just saying I can't give you advice without more information. Now, one of the things that, if you've been following this show, I mentioned the Patreon, and I know people get super mad because I talk about the Patreon all the time, but the Patreon is a great spot for issues like that because you can post all of that information. You could post up pictures, you could post up all of your water parameters and stuff that you're testing for, that's the Patreon community page is awesome for that. Candy Overhauls just posted a link for it if you wanted to check that out. So, that's a lot for what the Patreon is great for, is being able to pop into the community there. We had 294, but now we're down to 289 Patreons, but that's still a lot of people that can help you out with stuff that's going on in your aquarium if you're going to ask questions there. If you're somebody that needs to be on Facebook, you can go to Dark Star Aquatics on Facebook. That's a small Facebook group we have there. Or you can email me, joel@darkstararts.com. I'm kind of a busy dude, so if I don't get back to you right away, sometimes I do. Sometimes people email me, and it happens to be like just the right time, like I'm at my computer and my email's open. Sometimes it takes a couple of days or whatever. So if you email me, I can always help to, I can always try to, ease you in the right direction or something like that. Janet Keller was asking, supervised feeding. It's always good to supervise the feeding of your fish for kids. Yes, 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 yes. Always supervise the feeding with your kids, because I've seen a lot of aquariums over the years that have gotten the whole thing dumped in there, the whole container. I've seen that happen many, many times. Let's see here. Turtle Girl saying, yes, and RFT Frank, go get a 2,000-gallon pond and get one at Frank Dominguez. What's he doing? What? I want a fly river turtle or a common snapping turtle. Oh, Mr. Frank Dominguez wants a fly river turtle or a common snapping turtle. That'd be, yeah, do that. I used to keep turtles when I was a kid. I don't know that I'm ever going to keep turtles ever again. I'm not saying that I'm not saying like I'm for sure not going to, but I don't see that hitting my plate anytime soon. I don't know. 3 years could change a lot, and I could have a turtle farm or something. I don't know, but it's definitely it's not something that's on my plate. Jad Orzi says, fish keeping and aquatic plants has been an amazing learning experience to teach my kids. The science and biology behind it is amazing. Wow, that's awesome, Jad. That sounds fantastic. And yeah, I hope someday I'll be able to share that with my kids someday, whenever that may be. Jad, okay, says, my 5-year-old helps with things like water changes, feeding, and such. She has her own Danyo in the tank. Yeah, it's pretty common. You know, I would say you got to be a little bit older than 4 or 5, you know, to get down to having their own tank to take care of, mainly just because water changes and stuff like that. You really trash your house pretty easily if the unsupervised water changes and stuff like that. I mean, I've flooded the house before, and I'm 100 million years old. You know, let's see. Kevin Keener asking, do you run the lights on your sumps off? Offset to main tank lights to minimize pH swings? Yes, I do. Oftentimes my sump lights on my freshwater planted aquariums. Yeah, I have to start being very specific about what type of aquarium I'm talking about. But on my freshwater planted aquarium, aquascape, whatever you want to call them, my green planted aquariums, oftentimes the lights on my sumps will run 24 hours. I won't even have them on a timer. I'll just have them blasting down there because I don't care if there's algae growing down there or any of that kind of stuff. As a matter of fact, it's a great opportunity to allow algae to just grow in my sump. It's really easy to clean out, and it, like you said, it helps really minimize pH swings because you know, the algae growing down there and the spare plants and stuff like that I have growing down there help to really minimize that gas off from, you know, plants that go dormant. You know, they're dormant's the wrong word, but the night period of plants being no longer photosynthesizing, it does offset that pH swing quite a bit. Alyssa Bentley says, so if I use no crushed coral and gradually add some once in a while, should be okay for crystals, maybe a decent year of acclimation. You'd want to buffer your water down for the crystal shrimps. So catappa leaves, extra driftwood, maybe a little bit of peat to get it down a little bit and let it just kind of wear off until you get to, you know, I would just keep it at 7 if that's what's going on. Keeping it consistent is going to be the big deal, but just adapting them to that little bit different pH of your water. If your water is in fact 7.2, like coming out of the tap consistently throughout the year, then I would go that way. Crushed coral will buffer it up a bit, but it will also help buffer the pH from going crazy once you've got them adapted to that. The famous Aquarius, what crossbreeding colors will I get with orange and red Neocaridina in the same aquarium? You will get brown. You will get brown shrimps is what you will end up with. You know, crossbreeding any Neocaridinas, whether they be blue, yellow, orange, red, whatever, crossbreeding those colors together will essentially throw wild variation back into your aquariums, and you'll end up with a lot of brown ones showing up, which maybe that's what you're looking for. It seems doubtful, though. Vexen Cat's asking, have you grown sun sugar tomatoes, not sun gold? They are a yellowish orange cherry tomato. I think I did grow those one year. I've grown a bunch of cherry tomatoes over the years. I find those to be sort of the tomato that I'm really successful with is the cherry tomatoes. Those are the ones that every year I do really well. We did the grape ones. We did the grape ones last year, so they're really dark, sort of purpley red little cherries. And then I'm not 100% sure what we have staged as far as our vegetable garden this year, but I will tell you guys, I am receiving 3 yards of dirt tomorrow, right outside. Oh, I have to right right outside that window right there, I'm going to be receiving 3 yards of dirt so that I can fill in the grow beds and stuff. And believe you me, you guys will get to see a cool video from that all getting set up for the chickening and stuff. So, but I look forward to it. I don't know. Sure. Why not? Let's see. Aquadacy says, my daughter dumped a whole container of flake food in my tank when she was a toddler. I had to leave work to come home and take care of it. Yeah, that is common. That happens a lot. I would highly recommend, so like in my setups, I have the sumps down below and everything like that. I would highly recommend putting food like up into a cabinet. If you could do something like that, that is a huge help for avoiding that big issue. Although, you know, kids that were a kid like me, I'd be up in that cabinet for sure. I definitely been down that road before. Let's see. Phil Emerson, so did the feed just stop for everyone, or is it just me? Hopefully it was just you, Phil. I've been having some issues with latency settings, and I'm not even... I was about to say I'm not 100% sure. I'm like 12% sure right now what I need to change, and I started doing it. At one point in time, I thought I knew what needed to change, and then once I researched it, I was like, oh, I am completely wrong. So rewinding and stuff during live has apparently become an issue, and I've heard it from a bunch of people now. And Mr. Joel Gillett. I'm going to call him Gillett because, you know, whatever. He pointed it out to me on Monday, so I'm desperately trying to search that out and figure out what's wrong. But yeah, I have been told from a couple of people that they have to reload every once in a while. Casey Piercy is asking, new to your channel, but loving it so far. Just curious, are you still a chef, or what do I do for a living? Full-time fish guru? Well, what I do for a living is hyper mysterious, you guys. And boy, howdy, do I like to keep it that way. Well, part of the living that I make, you guys notice, you go onto the Patreon, you can see it right there. You know, minus the taxes, it's minus the taxes, it's a little under $800 a month right now from everybody kicking in, and I'm hyper appreciative of it. But I'm also an artist full time. I do paintings and stuff. As you can see in the background here, there's a bunch of easels and paintings and stuff like that. I also do videography. I also build things for people. I paint houses. I do remodeling. I do all sorts of nonsense. My life is a little bit weird and pretty difficult to quantify what it is I do. And somebody at one point in time said I'm a jack of all trades, which almost sounds like a negative thing. And then somebody said, "Well, you're a Renaissance man because you can handle the whole farm." And I thought, dang, bro, I like that. So I prefer to go with the Renaissance man because it sounds better than a jack of all trades, right? But I will tell you guys this. I did my taxes the other day, and I tell you, it's a multifaceted, chaotic thing to do my taxes. And every time I kept filing everything, I kept having to pay more and more and more to do my taxes because the program I had to keep using was getting more and more extensive. So it kept going up in price to actually file my taxes. So yeah, that was it. But yeah, to explain what I do for a living is a little bit confusing, but I think the easiest thing to equate it to would be like whatever opportunity comes up, I go do it. I sign up for stuff. You know, people are like, "Hey man, can you do this painting?" I'm like, "Yeah, all right, let's do it." And then some people decide that they don't want to pay, and then it sits over there on the ground until they decide that they want to do that. You know? So yeah, I do whatever needs doing, fabrication to building stuff, fixing stuff, plumbing, electrical, whatever. I'll do whatever I got to do. It's all good. To be honest, I guess if I was to give like my personal opinion, because I know Dean and I were actually talking about this at dinner last night. But just I'm really unenthusiastic to work for whether it's a small corporation like an LLC or even a large corporation. I'm not enthusiastic for it. And the big reason for that is because it's their job to exploit the people that work for them. In whether it's in a positive, beneficial way or a negative way, that's the job of a company, is to make money from the people that work there. So you realistically end up with a real raw end of the deal. In a realistic way, you just really end up with the raw end of the deal. So, but Johnny B's asking general contractor. I guess that'd be a good way to explain it. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do for a living. Michael Faulkner says, "Hey guys and gals, lurker mode whilst cooking dinner. Hope everyone is well. My dinner is I put it on the slow cooker so it'll be ready when Vicky gets home. So easy mode, bro. But you got to have the skills, bro. You got to have the skills. Like I got the skills. I smoked the corned beef over the weekend, so I don't know if that's skills or just I'm already ahead of the game. I think I'm just already ahead of the game. I'm not going to call it skills. It's ridiculous. Dango Bicon is here with 10 neon tetras, 10 Endler guppies, and a pair of apistogramas in a 29 planted tank work. In my experience, yes. Yes, in my experience, that stocking Dango would work fairly well. I would just, my only concern would be to quarantining everything before you got them in there might be a lengthy process. But yeah, I know I can think of a tank that I had that had Endlers, Tetras, and Apistos in it. Probably 5 or 6, 7, I don't know, years ago. But yes, that stocking would be pretty reasonable. Nobody's going to be fighting with anybody or murdering anybody or anything like that. So it might be a little bit difficult to feed the Apistos, like for enough food to actually get down to the bottom of the tank. But, pretty easy to distract the dumb fish and put some sinkers going over on the other side, Wasabi's talking about toilet guppies. That's a good point. Oh my God, Candy has posted the t-shirts. I forgot. There are new t-shirts in the Teespring and stuff. If you guys are interested in stickers. I know you guys all went crazy for stickers and stuff and that and whatnot. I'm going to check something here. I'm actually learning something about shirts and stickers and merch that so last month you guys ordered a whole bunch of shirts and stickers and stuff, and then there just really hasn't been, there's been one order this month. It's the 11th. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I haven't gotten very much. I haven't received a ton of feedback in regards to what I should necessarily be doing with the Teespring or whatever. Should I design different stuff? Should I just leave it? I don't know. I was basically going to use basically the Teespring money, right, to be able to upload these to the podcast format, and then there hasn't been any orders. So I think that realistically, like, it's kind of like, okay, I got to figure out a different way to pay for hosting for the podcast. So, yeah, not that it's a bad thing. Like I said, I'm just learning. I'm learning, you guys. I don't know what it's like to try and sell shirts as a YouTube fish keeper guy. Even though been a YouTube fish keeper for a really long time now. I probably should know, but I don't. Oops, I had to reload the page here. Sorry, guys. There we go. Let me move the chat back over here. But yeah, honestly, I'm certainly learning some stuff about merch. You know what I mean? Like what it means to be doing the merch and what it's like to have that around. But I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting. So, but I think a lot of people were zazzed, and hopefully everybody got what they were trying to get. I hope. So, oh crap, I missed a super chat, you guys. All right, I screwed up. Sorry, Kyle. I missed your super chat. There hasn't been a lot of super chats today, so so I forgot. Normally when there's a whole bunch of them, I'm like, oh God, I got to answer those. So sorry about that. But Kyle Paith was with a $5 super chat and was asking, I got them browns from mixing. I think they look good, but I'm a fan more of natural fish / shrimp as well as the fancy colors. Yes, you know, with any of the Neocaridinus, you start mixing them together, you just end up with the wild variation. The unfortunate side is that in order to breed in like red versions, right, you have to take the babies and breed the babies, the ones that are the more red color, and that this is just to really simplify it as much as possible here. But essentially you got two red parents, right, that are kind of but then they breed, they throw all the babies, then you kind of wait for them to grow a little bit, so then you pick out the ones that are a better red version, move them, and then let them breed, and then what they throw, they'll throw a higher percentage of red, and then you just keep doing that for a really long time. So if you actually take like a yellow and a red and let them mate and breed, then you end up just like going right back to wild pretty quickly. Like it's pretty quick. I mean, it might not be the first babies that they throw, but you will suddenly notice, oh my gosh, there's a whole bunch of browns in here. So, that's just the nature of it. That's just how it goes. Candy Overhauls posts the affiliate link to the coop. Yeah, if you guys have been watching any of my recent videos, I've definitely been, getting stuff from the coop, some great plants, utilizing their fertilizer and a couple other things too. So, mad props to those guys. It's just the affiliate link. Like if you're going to go buy something from the coop, it's great to use the affiliate link. It lets them know that I sent you. And then I can, utilize that to make fun of AquaPro's Mike, and that's always a good time. I have a great time talking to that guy. I actually had like a 2-hour conversation with him the other day, and he's a great dude. If you don't know who AquaPros is, who I'm talking about, go check out his channel. He's got a huge channel, does a bunch of cool stuff, and he's a great dude. I love hanging out with him, so hopefully I'll be hanging out with him soon. Maybe he's going to come up here for a barbecue. I don't know. Wasabi Tsunami says, wear a tinfoil hat like me. It's an awesome Wi-Fi connection. That's next level, man. Let's see. Joel Gillett updated the app yesterday, and it hasn't helped. So that's not what it is. I think that it has something to do... I think it has something to do with my latency settings over here. But like I said, I'm going to have to keep working on it, but you may have to refresh from time to time. So I'm sorry about that, man. I wish I knew and just had the answer, and I could just like, oh, let me click this button, and it would just be handled. But so far, it's been a little bit frustrating to figure out what's wrong with it, Maxwell... Yeah, I'm in favor of all the laws, though. America has so many invasive species because of the pet trade. Oh, yeah, that's very true. Most of the invasive species are from pet trade or farming. Quadacy's asking, what's the next painting going to be? Probably working on a shrimp, and then I've got a couple other portraits I'm working on, the next paintings back there. JH Aquatics says, I like to plumb and grow stuff too. Yeah, I appreciate that. If nobody knows who JH Aquatics is, he's the Fish Fam News guy. He's there in the chat. Check him out. Aquaticy is asking, can you keep a pisto with angelfish? I can't answer that. I do not know. I wouldn't think so. Maybe? Oof. Don't have an answer for that one. Sorry, Aquaticy. I just, it's so few and far between times that I've kept angelfish or really had much else to do with them other than just reselling them. So I don't know. Somebody else might have a better answer than me than just saying I don't know, but I could always ask around. Let's see here. Vexing Cat has a question that I'm having a hard time getting anyone to answer. In the 90s, using a diatom filter was common in the 90s. Why is it no longer common and no one wants to talk about them? The diatom filter, I'm trying to remember exactly. Oh. Oh, the yeah, I was trying to figure out what you meant by the diatom filter. A lot of people use the diatom filters, the vortex diatom filter. That's what the big difference with them is, the vortex filters. A lot of people use those on their ponds still. So those are used quite often in ponds still. They're just not used that often in aquariums very much in my experience. And I just think they're not as produced as much anymore. And I know that the large ones that people use for ponds are pretty, they're like they're really expensive. So I just don't think people are using them that much because of just the cost, I think, was the big deal, and just how much work you have to do with them. Also, you have to buy diatomaceous earth, which I have diatomaceous earth. It's not a big deal for me because I have it for the chickens, but you do have to replenish that all the time. I think they still use diatom filters in pools too, I think. But I'm not much of a pool guy, and I don't know too much, but I think that they still use those in pools quite a bit. But I think it's just cost. You're just constantly spending money and constantly fixing stuff and constantly having to mess with them. So I think that's the big deal with those. The Zombie Drummer with a $9.10 super chat saying, Water Change City, population uno, lurking hard, kid. That's a strong super chat, man. I like it. Thanks, Zombie Drummer. That's pretty awesome. Thank you. Mad props, my guy. Y here has 11 Columbia red tetras in a heavily planted tank. Can I put a pearl gourami in there with them, brah? What do you think? I probably, yeah. Columbia tetras can hold their own for sure against a gourami. And if it's heavily planted, the gourami will probably just kind of find its zone and protect it from the Colombian tetras. So I would imagine it'd be okay, but I've seen fish hate each other for whatever reason that I never thought would. Leonie Ballantyne shirt arrived the other day. Love it. I would love to get some more, but they are over $50 Australian, so we'll have to space out my purchases. Oh, crazy. All right, so that might be an issue. If it costs $50 Australian to get them there, that could be a problem. So this might come down to me trying to get people that print in more countries than just the United States, probably because of the shipping costs and stuff like that, right? All right, I'm gonna look into that. Because I have been talking with a European company that might be better for like the Europeans to order from, but we'll see how that goes. So maybe there's like an Australian company that prints shirts that I might be able to use. That might be cool. Ultimate Fish Keeping Show has asked, please may I ask what is your opinion on electric blue rams? My 15-year-old brother would like a pair, but they are not a fish that have kept them in my aquarium in years. We talked in depth on the Real Fish Talk about blue rams yesterday, quite a bit. I like them. I think they're pretty cool. Bolivians are better. They're just hardier. I had more success with Bolivians than I did blue rams. Blue rams are just super skittish and chaotic, you know. And that's just a reality of, I guess, just my opinion. I just found the blue rams to be so like sensitive, and I just didn't have a ton of success with them, even though I had them for years and had a good time with them. But like I said, they would just like randomly freak out, you know, lights come on or something and ram into something and then end up dying or something. Yeah, so they're a cool fish. I would just certainly keep them in an area that if you could do ramp up lights with them, if you can keep 3 sides of the tank blacked out, that's going to be pretty helpful, and make sure that there's just not a lot of traffic, people going by the blue rams. But you know, I don't know, hopefully that helps. Vexing Cat, I only use them to polish water in response to the BC Fish Room used to use diatomaceous earth in filters in the late 80s. Yeah, I think it's just older technology. I just think people don't use them because it just costs too much, I think, realistically. Let's see here. Let me check here. Trying to read. Candy Overhaul says my birthday is coming up. My birthday is coming up, you guys. I'm 100 million years old this weekend. It's going to be crazy. So, thank you for all the birthday wishes, I guess ahead of time or whatever. Speaking of birthday wishes, Turbo Fish and family sent me an awesome present. Thank you very much. I'll be debuting it on Friday. And I don't want to debut it. I don't want to blow it too early, you know what I mean? So, get that. Thank you very much, Turbo Fish. I appreciate it big time, and super thankful of you guys sending that out to me. It was really cool. It was really cool. Ashley Taylor with a 10-pound super chat, going towards a 10-pound super chat going towards podcasts. Come on, cars are ready for it. Not wasting a tenner. What's the dumbest fish you have? Mine, a 12-year-old common pleco who lives in a guppy tank. It's 650 before moans and scared of the guppies. Oh. Well, thank you, Ashley. The dumbest fish I have, let's see here. The dumbest fish I have is the Nassau tang, probably in the reef tank. That is the dumbest fish I have. And the biggest jerk fish that I have. Constantly trying to bully the other fish and then hiding. So it's like, not only is it bullying all the other fish, but it's hiding all the time. It's super weird. I just don't get it. It's weird. So I'd say that's probably the dumbest fish, because it's like, it's just having a bipolar freak out. You know what I mean? Bracken says diatom filter is a very fine polishing canister, and it is something I've never seen, but looks like a Marineland Magnum from years ago. Yeah, you know, realistically, like the big sump that Corey and I were building for the 800 I was going to incorporate something like a diatom filter into it, but we're going with the under gravel. So we're going to go with the under gravel thing on that project. So, yeah, that's just the reality. That's the direction that project's going. So I guess, you know. Dango Bicon is asking, what would you stock in an 800-gallon like Corey's? Yes, good point. Good point. What would I stock in an 800-gallon like Corey's? What would I do? Well, so I guess that's a multifaceted kind of question. Dango with the 2-pound super chat. Thank you very much. And that's his question. But this feels like a multifaceted question because, one of the big goals we have on the Patreon is to do a 20,000 gallon tank, right? Which is a huge, lofty, crazy goal, but whatever, I put it up on there. Now, if I was going to be doing something like that, for instance, for like, because the Patreon hit that funding, right? I would, so in that situation, that would be like fan-funded, fan-powered, right? So I would take into consideration so I basically would probably start some polls. I would probably start some polls and see kind of what people were interested in most, and then go from there, right? That'd be my jump-off point, but it certainly would be a big planted aquarium for sure, because that's my main focus. So it wouldn't be a reef or a brackish or anything like that, but it would be a huge planted aquarium system, which I would probably be utilizing some of the sunlight, but it seems doubtful. I would probably almost only be using like Fluval LEDs, or maybe if Fluval didn't want to be involved in the project, maybe I'd use LEDs from somebody else. But that's probably the lighting I would do. And then from there, the stocking would kind of depend on what I did with the plants. So if I did a really big 800-gallon, let's say I did an 800-gallon out of pocket that was just my thing that I wanted to do, like Corey's. So he's talked about how much that cost, and it was quite a bit of money for him to do that 800 gallons. So if I was in that position where if I was in that position where I had spent that kind of money and I was going to do it this is my project, this is my pet project, this is the only thing that I want to do, as far as stocking goes, this would piss off, this would make the internet so mad. But it would be an 800-gallon and it would probably be an 800-gallon shrimp tank. Just a fully planted, crazy shrimp tank. And I would realistically at this point, I would probably do something like, like Galaxy Pintos or something like that. That's probably what I would do in it. If it was that situation where it was like, I just want my own pet project that I can just stare at, and take my meditation time. And I was just building that huge tank. That's probably what I would do. Would that drive the internet crazy? Probably. It would I would have to feel the constant constantly being berated by messages from people that were telling me how much of a piece of garbage I am for just putting shrimp in a giant aquarium. Because, I used to do that. I used to have to deal with that all the time with the 240-gallon shrimp tank. So, and is that my long-term goal? Yeah. My long-term goal is to do a bigger version of the 240. And bigger, I mean only 2 feet front to back deeper. But I want to do a 20-footer. I want to do a 20-footer of like the 240. and then have it actually go 2 feet front to back, but actually still maintain that only that 2 foot tall. So that's my long-term, plan for a really big project, which will probably come to fruition when I'm 200 million years old instead of 100 million years old. So, it's just a long-term, like, that's kind of my pipe dream. That's kind of my pipe dream tank. That is just these, kind of just to be able to do escape that just sort of has this ebb and flow with open areas in between and these sort of islands, and then just mad shrimp throughout it. But obviously that's a huge custom project that would be, that's like for a million years away, pretty much, We have a $20 super chat from the Schwisky. Oh my God, you guys, it's orange. The Schwisky has thrown down the orange super chat, you guys. It's orange. Nothing rhymes with orange. It's a mysterious word. It only describes orange. Yeah, by the way, if you ever want to, if you're ever doing improv up on stage with a group, like theater sports or something like that, try to get people to rhyme with orange if you want to ruin it, because there just ain't a word that rhymes with orange. But it's a great way to just go and pull the needle right off the record and make people freak out, Thank you, Schwisky. Says I'm a cool guy. I don't know. That's weird. That's weird, man. Can we believe it? I don't know if we can even believe it. But we've got a $4.99 super chat from Chef Hannibal. Is that Hannibal the Cannibal Lecter? Does he eat people? Was asking, best way to get food to a vampire pleco in a tank with aggressive feeders. I think the easiest way to do that, okay, first of all, with a vampire pleco, I would almost always be feeding like rapashi and stuff like that, because you can actually make, because you make the little Jello cubes of the rapashi. Oh man, I thought I had some here on my desk. But with the vampire plecos, I would almost always get some rapashi, and so that you can actually make the blocks, and then you can make little blocks. You can cut them up to small sizes, and you can kind of deliver them into areas where they'll be able to get to them, and then you can scatter feed. You can scatter feed to get around the rest of the fish and just kind of distract them. So if you use like a little bit of flake or something like that, any kind of the aggressive feeders and stuff are naturally going to kind of just follow the flake as you send them in. So in my fish room right now with the rummy nose tetras are going to hammer whatever food I put in there. So what I'll do is I'll add some flake, and then I can throw in some sinking food, whether it be sinking pellets or like the rapashi, right? And I can kind of deliver those into kind of the back areas where the rummy nose don't show up to it. And rummy nose wouldn't realistically be a super aggressive feeder, although they are pretty quick and come up and grab food fast. But there's over 200 of them in there. And so that school is just feeding super hard. So my apistos and my bristlenose and stuff like that, they all live down low. I need to make sure that I am target feeding them a little bit. And I'd put that right into the same category here with the vampire plecos. And the vampire plecos, if I recall, are like protein feeders and stuff like that. So you can actually just get some of the rapashi that the vampire plecos, it's probably designed for them. I bet he has a plant or has a food that's designed for that. And that's where I would start. Candy Overhauls throws the affiliate link to the Fluval 3.0 through the coop. You know what, guys? I've been using a Fluval 3.0. As you guys know, I salvaged the one that was completely broken, and managed to get it to work. And I have been using it, and I would say that I am super pissed that I don't have enough money to buy all replacement 3.0s, because that light is the bee's knees, man. Like, not even to mention the fact that you can Wi-Fi control it to set the spectrum that you want, but you can also Wi-Fi control it to turn it on and off. It has the Wi-Fi controller built into it. It's spreading it a lot. I mean, it puts... All right, it doesn't put out a ton of par, but it is putting out a ton of usable light. Oh, and let me pause here on that thought. The Zombie Drummer says it's the Bottom Scratcher Rapashi. Right. Awesome. Thanks, Zombie Drummer. Couldn't remember the name of it. He has so many goofy names like Soylent Green and stuff like that for his food. But that Fluval 3.0 is... I do have to admit that I really do want to... I really, really, really do want to change out all mine to those, but as you guys know, and I can relate to you guys, the budget just says I can't do it at this point. So, but if you do have the budget for it, those lights are 100% worthwhile. I'm pretty zazzed by the one broken one that I got that I fixed that it works good. It's broken, but I fixed it. It's working good. But mad kudos to Fluval for making a dope light, because that light is pretty darn awesome. I have to admit. BC Fish Room says got to get hip to Rapashis. Never used it. Yeah. If there was only one type of food that you could buy, I would go with Rapashi. I mean, he has just so many good formulas, so much good food. It is kind of a pain to make it, but I would, if there was only one type of food that you could get, I would say Rapashi would be the one. That'd be the one I would highly recommend that anybody could go for. Fish and Shrimp and Rich says, where did Joel go? I don't know. I'm still here. Hopefully we didn't lose signal. It's happened before, but you might need to reload. I don't know. We mentioned earlier we've been having minor problems. Let me check over here at the encoder. 0 frames dropped, so it's still transmitting. JK's asking, why does Washington have so many aquarium bans? I was actually talking about that earlier. Yeah, it just has a lot to do with the crazy ecosystems here. Just how many there are in Washington, how many ecosystems there are here. It covers a lot of the gambit, and especially to the point that if you only looked into the Columbia River, right? I think the Columbia River has 17 dams on it right now. And how many invasive species have gotten into just the Columbia River, and how crazy it is to try and manage just that one river, let alone all the other crazy rivers we have here. Just that one river, how many crazy things have happened to the Columbia River. That's probably one of the main contributing factors for why we have so many rules there. Vexing Cat with a $10 super chat saying, you are a good sport. Well, thank you. I feel like I'm a good sport. I try to be a good sport. I try to be, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have sort of like mind-bending, crippling depression, self-loathing pain all the time, but I try to be in the best mood that I can. Like I just try to do the positive stuff, man, all the time. That's what I try to do. So I feel like, I'm a huge goofball. But I just try to come here and help out as much as I can. And I honestly feel like it's you guys that are the good sports that actually show up and come talk to me. So I feel honestly blessed to be able to come out here and talk to you guys and you know, pass on some stuff that I figured out more often than not on accident, being a weirdo, right? Oh, Bracken's asking video segment, or did I miss it? Oh, man, I've been yammering on for way too long. Oh, I'm going to get to this one last super chat from Priscilla MK Art with a $5 super chat into the Galaxy Pinto Fund. Thank you very much. It's hugely appreciated. Yeah, I'm just waiting for the day that I'll be able to get some Galaxy Pintos. I swear, every time I get some money saved up for something like a shrimp order, it's like I did my taxes, and then I was like, oh, crap. It's hard to be a tax day baby sometimes, you know, when you go and do your taxes and then realize that, like, yeah, there goes all that money. Oh, whoops. And I sort of underestimated my budget. I underestimated my tax liability. So it kind of blew my budget out of the water this month, but I'll be all right, man. I'll figure it out, and it'll be all good. No, not a big deal. Let's see here. All right, so we've got a video segment that we're going to bust over to here, and I got to make sure, oh, what is going on here? It didn't start at the right part. There we go. All right, as I mentioned earlier, we've got the Rummy Nose Tetra going buck wild in the 240 here, and as you guys know, I recently did a rescape on this, and I wanted to explain to you guys a little bit of, I think there's not very many people out there that are doing aquascaping or doing aquascaping videos that ever really explain the work that goes into them after a rescape or even before a rescape, realistically. I think more often than not, we end up, what we see, what is shown on the internet is like, here's what I've created. It's a 2-minute time lapse. Boom, boom, boom. Cool. And we're done. One of the exceptions to that would be like George Farmer. He posted a great video the other day of them breaking down. I forget who it was. It was him and I can't remember that guy's name. But they were breaking down his tank to take it to go reset it up for a competition. And I felt like that was a pretty good representation of like really what it takes to like break it all down, because they're definitely showing you a ton of that stuff. And so I wanted to kind of pass on to you guys a little bit, like, you know, when I rescape an aquarium, it's sort of like, it's not necessarily starting back from scratch, but a bunch of stuff resets. And a bunch of stuff resets because, you know, moving around substrates, ripping rocks out, pulling driftwood out, pulling plants out, doing all this kind of stuff really offsets the ecosystem, and a lot of algae, nuisance algae and stuff like that will start popping up. And, you know, a big reason for that would be like on this rescape, I went from having 2 LED lights on here to now I have 4 LED lights on here. So I have increased my lighting a lot. I've doubled it. And so that has added to some issues, which I have like a hair algae flare up going into the pygmy chainsword right now. So I'm kind of showing you guys how to you know, pluck that out of there. You guys have seen me using my toothbrush lately for pretty much everything. And it, you know, toothbrush is one of those tools that I pretty rarely, you know, I don't necessarily ever really make videos about the toothbrush, but I'll talk about them on the live stream, that's for sure. I just get them from the dollar store. So I normally go to the dollar store and I find a 4 or a 6 pack of toothbrushes. I just buy them, you know, and oftentimes somebody asked me a while ago about this as on a personal note. Somebody was asking me, they were like, oh man, you go to the dollar store for toothbrushes. I never really thought of that. And I was like, yeah, I had thought of it when I was buying toothbrushes for donating to charity. And I went to like the I went to like the drugstore, like the regular drugstore, and I was gonna buy a bunch of toothbrushes there, and I was like, man, this is gonna be a ton of money. And somebody was like, you know, you can get those at the dollar store, right? So I was like, oh, what? And so I ended up going to a dollar store and found out like, oh, you can get like 4 for $1 instead of 4 for $9 or something. So I just went and bought a ton of those, and then I was like, wait a minute, these are awesome for fish tanks. Awesome. You know, so I do recommend people that if you do go to the dollar store and buy a bunch of toothbrushes, buy a couple extra packs, and you know, maybe pass those on to a charity out there, because the hygiene stuff is one of the biggest things that's difficult for like the homeless population and stuff like that, and people that are in need. Hygiene stuff is always great to donate. So I would just a personal note, add that in there. So I forget who was asking earlier about the Pogostemon stellatus octopus. Here it is. This is actually what I'm trimming right here. Asking to what could happen, how to trim it down to get it into more of a to get it bushier, for it to not to grow up tall. Here's how you do it right here. So you take those initial stems that you get, plant those into the substrate. Like planting Pogostemon stellata octopus is the easiest plant. It's one of the easiest plants to plant because it's a stem plant. You just take the end of it and jam it into the substrate. It's pretty much what it takes to plant the most stem plants. It's really, really easy. Now trimming them back can be a little bit confusing, but what you want to do is kind of look down the stem. As you start to get down to the bottom, you can notice that there are a little bit thicker nodes where the leaves are coming out. And as you look through those little nodes where the leaves are coming out, sometimes you get an opportunity to see a little bud or a little sproutlet that could be coming out of one of those. You want to trim just above one of those, right? And that's basically what you're looking for. That's basically what you're looking for on where to trim it, and then you're going to be consistently trimming back to that point. So you definitely want to make sure that you are trimming back to that point regularly, and that will help keep it considerably shorter and bushier, because it'll start to sprout multiple sproutlets coming out from that same part, and then those parts will go up, and then you can trim those back down, replant those, and then now multiple more sprouts will be coming out from that same spot where you keep trimming. Keep trimming back there. So each time you trim back that one stem, oftentimes you'll get 2, and then from the 2 you'll get 4, and then from the 4 you'll get 8, and then the next thing you know, you've got this super bushy plant. Obviously, this takes time. It doesn't take 5 minutes of it growing for that to happen, but you know, I haven't been trimming this back as aggressively or as quickly as I normally would, but you can actually see, and let me pause this for a second. We gotta activate the whiteboard feature. Whiteboard feature coming in hot. And I think my color, oh man, we're on red. Perfect. That is gonna work well. How do I, oh, I guess it doesn't leave a mark if I click on it like that. Cool. We got the whiteboard, we got the whiteboard, we got the whiteboard, yeah. So, I'm going to make an arrow here first. So, right in this region here, all of these parts that have gotten trimmed, you can see how there's all these really bright green little sproutlets down here that I'm drawing in as red now. Those are from the trim base right here, from the same spot I've been trimming from. And then now it's sending out all these little sprouts, and they'll grow up as tall as this eventually, but I will continue to trim from this area right here, right? And I'll keep getting more and more sprouts, and then every time I do that, the next time it grows back, I'll just have more and more little tiny bright green sprouts from here. And I'll just keep doing that over and over again until I get this crazy it'll eventually grow as this really big stalk at the base. And eventually they'll have this big stalk, and it'll just look like these little crazy trees that are growing in super bushy. And then I'll just keep doing that over and over and over again. And yeah, so hopefully that explains like what up and like what I'm doing. But the cool thing is, like, when you trim the tops, you get more of this plant essentially. So propagation is awesome. You can keep filling up and filling up and filling up, even really big tanks, and get them, and get that pogostemon like just all over the place. It's just a really cool plant for that kind of stuff, and it definitely does take up quite a bit of it will occupy, I guess take up quite a bit's wrong, but it will occupy a good amount of real estate, which is good if that's what you're looking for, which I am. You know, I like my plants. I don't even want to see the background. To give you to give it a slight explanation, I don't even want to see the background. So that's sort of like where I want it to go. So, and where I want it to be. Like all I want to see is green stuff. I don't want to see the black background anymore. But let me catch up with the chat here a little bit, and we'll see what's going on. The Aqualama, what's that? I use them for everything. I don't know. What's the question here? Apply vinegar with cloth. Wipe off with a newspaper. Alyssa, what do you use to clean the front of the glass on the outside of your tank? Well, my tanks aren't glass. My tanks are acrylic. So I actually use acrylic cleaner, just always onto an old T-shirt, basically. A type rag is what you want. You want to use cotton on acrylic if you're going to be cleaning it. You don't want to use paper towel or anything like that, because it will scratch the acrylic. The wood fibers in the acrylic, or in the paper towels and stuff like that, will scratch acrylic, even if you have no cleaner or anything like that. The wood fiber will scratch the acrylic. So always use something that's a nice cotton or a microfiber cloth or something like that. That's very much the way to go. Daniel, keeping fish, struggling to keep my eyes open. It's late night over here. We'll need to watch the rest later. Thanks, Joel and Admin, for putting it on. Night, everybody. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks for coming out. I know you get tired, that's for sure. Who said Aqua is asking, CO2 bubble tower or diffuser? I use a reactor, my bruh. I make reactors, and you guys can check out some of my older videos. I make a ton of reactors, and I make them myself. I recently plumbed the reactor into the actual return pump from this. Actually, it has a power takeoff. So if you find the power takeoff video, Who Said Who, which is a long live stream, I think, maybe. If you check that one out, the video portion will explain how that go in. B. Weimer is asking, did you paint the back of that tank, or what did you use for the background? The back of this tank is just black acrylic. There's a black acrylic backing is the background for this one. The famous Aquarius lost you for a second. Refresh worked. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys. I don't know what's going on today with the use tubes. Whether it's got to be the latency thing I was talking about earlier. That has got to be the whole deal, because we just lost 40 people disappeared in, hold on, let me scroll down here. 45 seconds. Within a 45-second window, we lost 40 people, which means it probably dropped from a bunch of people. That'd be my guess. Whoa. I almost breathed in. Excuse me. But this hose that I got right here in the mail, I got it in my hand right here. is actually some of the hose that I'll be using for some new CO2 reactors and some plumbing. I got a bunch of plumbing and stuff that I'm gonna be doing, and I kind of want to show this off a little bit. I'm gonna find the end here though. Where is it? Where's the end? Oh, there it is. Okay, so let's get this. We'll cut it open. We shall cut the hose out. Ugh. Got my blade here for high-tech cutting operations. Ooh. All right. You guys can see here why I had to special order this, which I almost always special order my Spaflex anyhow, and it normally takes like 2 weeks for it to show up or whatever, so I'm not that surprised it was going to take that long. But you guys can actually see right here, if I can get it onto camera, it's actually black Spaflex. So this is actually PVC that is flexible. The stuff lasts forever. It is super awesome. I highly recommend people to use Spaflex. This happens to be the 3/4 inch version, which is why I had to special order it, because so I had to special order it because it's 3/4 inch size. So none of the local, nothing local carries this size. They carry 1 inch, 1.5, 2 inch, and but nothing this small. And so I needed the 3/4 inch for some of the stuff that hey, Biddy, that was me. Hey, what are you doing? I got the dogs barking because I dropped the hose on the ground. Mr. Chips, come here. Come on, bud. Up, up. Up, up, buddy. Come on. Come say hi to the people. We got to get Mr. Chips up here. Are you going to bark? Hold on, let me get your feet. Woof. Woof, woof. My name is Mr. Chips. What are you doing? I want to get a Mr. Chips, yeah. Okay. Now I got my buddy here. Got my buddy on my lap. It's hard to lift him up. He doesn't like to be lifted up. But his heart's racing. His heart's pounding. You get very excited? Do you think somebody was at the door? Okay. Well, he's doing good, though. And we're back. Yeah. So, yeah, I had to special order this 3/4 inch Spaflex for some of the I'm redoing some plumbing around the shop. I'm also doing some aquaponics stuff that I think people are going to be pretty excited for. I'm building them all out of acrylic, which I think will be pretty fun. And so I think people will look forward to. I'm looking forward to doing it. So you know, I'm glad that the hose actually got here, but that's why I had to special order it, because they just don't carry it. You know. Tampa Tom says Skynet wants more likes and comments. Stay till the end and leave a regular comment. Yeah, realistically, as far as the YouTube algorithm and stuff all goes, realistically, like, if you guys want to do, you know, obviously super chats, Patreon, showing up here and chatting and stuff like that is huge. But the biggest thing that you guys could do at this point is, like, you know, take a screenshot and share it out. Make a you can make a share post. You can share it onto YouTube. You can share it onto Instagram. You can share it onto Facebook. Share it onto MySpace, AOL, you know, whatever you guys want to share it onto. That is the biggest. That would be one of the biggest things. You guys sharing it out is huge. It's huge. It's a huge deal. If you guys want to share the videos out, I know oftentimes the comment that I get is that, like, people are like, "Well, I don't think anybody would necessarily like it." But I'm like, but you like it. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, well, there are other people like you, so share it out there. Maybe somebody will like it. You don't know. We don't know until you do it. So, yeah, we'll find out over time. But that really is one of the biggest things that that we can do out there is share stuff out that we like. So I've been trying to do more of that on a personal aside. Like I've been trying to do more of that, like sharing out people's videos and stuff like that I really like. So, but that's the big thing. Like that's the only way to fight the algorithm, realistically. It's really the only way to do it. Betsy Cummings. Ultimate Fish Keeping is checking out now. Thank you. To have one back in the live stream, and cool dog. Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Chips is a really cool dog. And he's just real snuggly right now. I don't know what's going on with him. He's old though. Keith Bordley is asking, where do I get my acrylic from? I actually get a lot of my acrylic. I get my acrylic from a local store, which is called Keltec. Another local store would be Tap Plastics. I think Tap Plastics is much larger than Keltec, but always, you can always do a Google search locally. That's how I found Keltec when I moved down here. I was looking for Tap Plastics, and then I Google searched, comparable places. You know what I mean? And they were like, oh, Keltec's like Tap Plastics, and I don't have to drive 40 miles to go to it. So that's where I go. And oftentimes I go to the scrap cutoff bins, and that's where I get most of the stuff. The Aqualama Savannah was saying, Joel, the super scrubber in the video. Yes, a lot of people, I get this constantly. I get questions all the time. How do you keep your tank glass so clean? Here you go, right here, cleaning it. That's how I keep it clean. It's a slight issue sometimes that I have to, what's the word here? I have to consider the balance of my aquarium is that it will keep algae and stuff like that down, but one of the big deals is that I have done so much work on this tank recently that I am getting green spot algae and some hair algae and stuff like that in the aquarium, which is pretty normal. It's pretty normal in regards to the in regards to what normally goes. In regards to where my oh, what the hell was I talking about? I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. That's my bad. But it's pretty normal for this aquarium to be going through some algae issues at this point because of the rescape and the addition of light. And normally when I get an aquarium balanced, I don't have to do as much, but I still have to do, I still have to do regular maintenance and glass cleaning and stuff like that because it will just grow onto stuff. That's just the nature of algae. That's just what it does. When it gets hit by light, it will essentially grow. Licks Nibbles is here asking, do I know the size PVC pipe fits on a Hydor Pro sponge? No, not off the top of my head. I do not know what that is. You'd have to, I would probably Google that and see what's up with that. Redneck Aquatics has a 210-gallon 5 Oscars planted Amazon swords, Anubias Java Fern, thinking of getting a couple mother swords. What do you think? Yeah, you could add more swords to that aquarium. That shouldn't be a problem at all. Bismarck is here. When you get a koi pond, how would you cover or prevent predators from eating the fish? The two things that I recommend would be either a net, right? Either a standard issue net that is a aviary bird netting that you have to put over the top of it, or something like a pool cover. Pool covers are like pretty affordable now. They work really well. They actually look pretty nice. They're pretty easy to install, so it's not like really super in depth, but a pool cover comes in fantastically helpful to avoid predation for sure. You know, if you are doing something like a serious koi pond, you know, building it in a rectangle or a square is pretty common these days because, you know, all the landscaping around it and stuff like that is actually still pretty easy to accommodate. Even though you do have like a square pond or something like that, a lot of people have realized that, oh, I should probably build, you know, like a rectangular pond, and then just work on the landscaping around it to make it nice. So those pool covers have worked out really well. Like the bird netting will kind of break down over time. It doesn't last as long, so it might not be a permanent thing. But what's going on here, Chips? Are you okay? He's acting weird. He's acting needy today. He's a needy dog. But we are coming up on the last couple minutes here of the show, so I'm going to go back to the regular scene. I think everybody's seen the video a couple times over and over again. KG Sickless and Rummy Nose Tornado. Agreed. That is a Rummy Nose Tornado for sure. For sure. Let's see here. Try to catch up with the chat a little bit. Cindy Lou Roman is asking, how do you fight hair algae? Hair algae, the easiest thing to do with hair algae is to actually manually remove it, as I was doing in the video portion there. So utilizing that my dollar store toothbrush to manually remove it, work on water changes, and get the balance back into this aquarium, which means I have to test, like we talked about on Monday. I got to keep testing to make sure that, you know, my nitrates and everything are where I want them to be, make sure my pH readings and stuff like that are coming out legit. And once the balance gets back into the aquarium, hair algae doesn't really stand a chance. It just really doesn't. You know, one of the things that I added to the aquarium, other than that stargrass that's already in there, is the pearlweed, which will start growing quite quickly. I do have some slow growers in there, which would be that that pygmy chainsword is pretty darn slow, along with most of the crypts and stuff like that. Even though they do replicate visibly fast, they aren't using up a ton of nutrients. So some of the plants that I've added are pretty fast growers and stuff like that. So the Pogostemon stellata octopus obviously grows really fast. So that stuff's going to help out, and it, you know, the hair algae just doesn't stand a chance by that point. Once we get it kind of balanced and get back into the rhythm of the ecosystem itself, then we'll be right back on point. Barbara Jackson, if your core pond is at least 4 foot deep or more with straight sides, that helps a lot with predators. Agreed. Yes. Depth is always great. If you can do it, if you can do depth with a koi pond, it will that will help a lot. But you know, like the tour from koi.com, we went out there. I mean, who would have thought that river otters would be coming up from that little river and breaking in and eating the koi? That's not that expected, but that kind of stuff does happen. Beck M is here saying, oops, almost forgot to hit that like button. That's right. I guess we're supposed to hit the like button, you guys, and you know, fight Skynet by sharing it out, as I mentioned earlier, right? Let's see here. Jackson is asking, 53-gallon tank, think of making a single schooling species. Any suggestions on what to put in? 6.4 pH and around 78 to 80 degrees. Well, 78 to 80 is going to be a pretty good temperature. You can pretty much put anything in there. And the pH at 6.4, so you're looking for probably something, you know, South American or something like that. You get a little bit softer water. So I'd pretty much just be looking for tetras or something along those lines, where you can find a good price on them. I think price is the big issue with building a big school. Either you could build a big school by breeding them or purchasing them. Breeding them obviously takes a lot of time to get to that point, to get a giant school, and it's not the easiest thing to get a giant school bred up. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm going to start with 20 of these and I'm going to breed them up to 500. It's like, well, it's going to take quite a long time to get up to that point. So I would consider finding something affordable, because, you know, in a 50-gallon like that, you're probably going to need 100 for them to look really, really good and impressive. I honestly need more, either rummy nose tetras or a whole nother school to compete with the rummy nose. So we'll see. Charlie List is saying, wow, I may have to take a trip across the pond. Which pond? What's going on? What's happening? Which pond? Where are you going? I'm going to Germany. I'm going to Germany, you guys. I'm going to go try out some of that German stuff. That's in less than a month now, you guys. I better get to packing. It's coming up pretty soon. Betsy, I got lucky. My first choice is the best possible fit, but it varies from each situation to each dog. Joel, what is your best advice for propagating and caring for low-light carpet plants, no CO2, and what plants are good for it? Let's see. What are good plants? Dwarf sage would probably be the best plant for no CO2, low-light carpet plant. Dwarf sage would be great. One of my old buddies, who I thought was going to be coming back to the internet, but he hasn't, has done a ton of tanks like that with just ghetto lights, you know what I mean? So that dwarf sage would be my best if you were trying to do a carpet like that. Most of the fine carpeting plants are going to require a good amount of light, but crypt parva would be a good one. If you're looking for cryptocrine parva, would be a really good one that it will take a long time to fill in, though. So that's kind of unfortunate. But if you're thinking about Glasso, Monte Carlo, anything like that, it's going to need a decent amount of light. But like I said earlier, luckily with like those Fluval 3.0s, it's actually pretty darn easy now to just get an awesome light that you can set it to whatever you want it to. So you can actually change the spectrum in it, the light timer, all that kind of stuff. LED, the intensity, you can raise it up and down, which is awesome. So I would consider just getting one of those lights and you'll be able to do whatever you want to do. But we are coming up on the end of the show. I want to thank everybody for coming out today. You guys are awesome. It's great support. Thank you guys for coming out. I want to thank Kyle Pace for your super chat. The Zombie Drummer, thank you very much. Ashley Taylor, it's awesome. Dango Bicon, thank you. I think your name is funny. I'm sorry. Makes me laugh. Schwisky, thank you for your big $20. The winner of today in the super chat department going orange. Schwisky, thank you, my man. Chef Hannibal, thank you very much. Vexing Cat, thank you very much. And Priscilla MK Art, thank you guys very, very much. And, thank you for using the affiliate link. Thank you for patronizing. And just generally, thank you for being super duper duper, right? Super duper duper. Woo. A whole bunch of people left. I don't know. I think YouTube is falling apart right now. So either way, thank you guys. I appreciate y'all for coming out. Thanks for all the super chats. And we'll have a fantastic Wednesday. And hopefully I'll have a short video for you guys tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on Friday at 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Because that's when we start the show. But thanks, everybody, for coming out. We'll wind it down here. And we'll pet Mr. Chips. Mr. Chips, we're going to end the show, which means it's going to be time for Puppy Dog's dinner. Are you a weirdo? Are you excited? Do you want to go outside? No? Okay. Later. Anybody seen that button?